This week on the Frankly Nuts podcast.
This is by far the craziest story we've ever heard.
Shaun Attwood is a former multi-millionaire, having made a killing in the dot-com bubble.
This quickly progressed to becoming English Shaun, Arizona's biggest ecstasy lord, and involved dealings with the Mexican Mafia.
This is just a taster of what's to come. We are beyond excited to share this story with you guys.
This is not to be missed.
Welcome back to the Frankly Nuts podcast. This week, myself and Joe, we're very excited to have Shaun Attwood on the podcast. Shaun, how are you doing?
Great, fantastic. How about you guys?
Brilliant. Thanks a million for sitting down with us today, Shaun.
An absolute pleasure, yeah.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, so Shaun, you've a really great story. It's full of highs, it's full of lows. It's just something that we want you to tell to the Irish audience. So basically, we want to kind of start from the beginning, and I believe your story kind of began when you got interested in the stock market at around 14?
Yeah, only 6 of us in my high school chose economics.
Yeah.
So the teacher, he started to give me classes on my own, reading the Financial Times, explaining what all the numbers mean. And I was ready to invest at 16. I asked my mum and dad for money. They told me to bugger off. but my nan, she gave me 50 quid. She had faith. And I doubled it in British Telecom, and that was it. I was just hooked. I went down the library, ordered loads of books, and telling all my mates in my little town, Widnes, I'm gonna go to America, make $1 million, fly you guys over. You know, that was my dream, and that's what I did.
Jeez. And like, what gave you the passion for the stock market at such a young age? Like, I suppose, like, it's not every fella's
not at all.
thing at that age. Like, was it just pure the money and the kind of the big dream, the big cars, all that? Was that kind of the big motivating factor behind it, or?
It was a combination of things. I'd seen this movie called Wall Street about this guy called Gordon Gekko, and he was like a multimillionaire, and he'd buy up companies, and his motto was "Greed is good."
Yeah.
And I was so ruthless and materialistic back then. You know, I related to that. So I thought, you know, I didn't grow up with much money in the industrial northwest of England. This is an opportunity for me. If I study this subject, the stock market, I could rise to the top of the profession, because it was the highest paid profession in the world. And if you look at incomes right now, still these finance guys are still the biggest. Back then, the highest. It was like people filing incomes of like $1 billion a year, like George Soros, Michael Milken. These were the highest incomes in the world back then. So I thought, I'm going to shoot for the top, and that's what I went for.
Brilliant. And like, you studied economics, and you said that you had private lessons off a tutor with the Financial Times and learning the stock market, and you took that on in life then, and you actually went on to study business in the University of Liverpool, was it?
Yeah, I did A-level maths, physics, economics, and then I went Liverpool Uni, which was right by where I lived.
Yeah. And then you studied that, and that's when you kind of got into in your final year, you kind of got into the rave scene, was it? That was big in England at the time, and like, obviously we probably, like, we wouldn't remember it at all, but like, can you tell people like what that scene was like what was
right
like then?
Before the rave scene, you had to line up to get in a club, and the bouncers were really snooty, and you had to have like a suit on and be really well dressed.
Yeah.
And the young people were sick of this, and it was like really lame music. So all of a sudden, the young people all over the country just started to break into warehouses, break into airplane hangars, wearing whatever the hell they wanted to wear.
Yeah.
Like these psychedelic clothing, and everyone was taking ecstasy. And nobody even heard of ecstasy, and it's all of a sudden it was all over the news, and it showed the police like chasing like 1,000 ravers out of a warehouse, and all these ravers have got these coloured clothes on, and they're smiling, and they're all on ecstasy. And I was seeing this on the news, and I'm like, what is going on in this country? You know, I want to check this out. And then a mate out of Manchester invited me to an event, and that was it.
That was your first experience of it? Like,
yeah, was that kind of your first experience then with ecstasy and drugs personally yourself?
I went to the Thunderdome. It was a dodgy nightclub on Oldham Road in Manchester. Got some ecstasy off like these Salford skinhead guys, and got a little rap of Billy Whiz. And I just wouldn't stop dancing, wouldn't stop talking to people, wouldn't stop making friends. And before that, I had anxiety as a teenager. I'd almost got beat to death by some drunks.
Jesus.
And it made me really nervous when I went out. I wouldn't talk to people, wouldn't dance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But once I took ecstasy, all my stress and tension just melted away.
It was a big release, so...
Yeah. But unfortunately, that became my crutch then for over 10 years. I didn't think I was an interesting enough person to be around unless I was high, and I just got deeper and deeper into that drugs lifestyle.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah, that's kind of that's where the habit developed. And once you finished uni, you finished in, was it 1990, 91?
Yeah, around then exactly. Yeah.
And you just got on the plane and off to Arizona. You went to meet your aunt over there.
Went to the Glastonbury Festival first. And then
went on a bit of a session.
Just along the way.
Oh, it was crazy because it was like some early rave stuff was going on, like Guru Josh, Adamski. I think I ended up taking a hit of acid, and I was like, I couldn't find my car, which is probably a good job.
And you touched down in Arizona, and like when you were on that flight, did you know like the stock market is what I'm going to hit right now, or did you think I'm just going to see what happens, take it as it goes, or did you have a plan in mind?
Yeah, I always had a plan in mind from 14 to 16. I was already telling my mates, I'm going to go to America, I'm going to make $1 million in the stock market, and it was locked in. I was thoroughly
focused on
convinced I would do it within 5 to 10 years. And there was a degree of arrogance in my confidence because I was thinking, I'm going to buy my own island and I'm going to do all this stuff. But you know how you are when you're a young person. You think big sometimes. It might be delusions of grandeur, but I did manage to get a piece of it because I was worth $2 million in the stock market at the peak of it.
Yeah. And at the time when you were telling all your mates this, like, what were they saying to you? Like, were they thinking you were crazy, or what kind of reactions were you getting from your friends?
You know what? They saw I was so confident in the way I said it. Right, there's a quarry by my hometown, and an area called Peck's Hill. And what we would do, me and my two best mates, Hammy and Wildman, we would go to this quarry and we'd sit on a tree overlooking the quarry, and was this steep drop. And we called it the thinking tree. And up this tree, that's where I announced to them that I was going to go to America and make $1 million. And they were like, because they knew I was already trading the stock market. They were like, well, you're already trading it, so, you probably will. So, they had faith.
They saw the potential. Yeah. And how do when you first get involved in the stock market, how does it work? Is it like kind of cold calls and things like that? Like we would have seen Wolf of Wall Street and things, like where you're kind of ringing on the phone all day, or how does it work?
I wanted to be an investment analyst. I wanted to do research. But when I got to Phoenix, I found out all the analysts were in New York City. But Phoenix had a thriving stockbroker community. So I became a stockbroker, just to get into the profession. Now, it sounds fancy, stockbroker, but if you watch The Wolf, like you said, it's just glorified telesales.
Yeah, exactly.
In the office, 6 o'clock in the morning, cold call 500 numbers a day. First couple of years, it was commission only. I wasn't any good at it. I was down to like living off cheese on toast and bananas, running out of money on my student credit cards. I was worried I was going to have to come home, but through perseverance, and I got schooled by some people in there about some tricks on how to get customers, I was able to rise to the top of the office.
Jesus, yeah. And like you worked as a stockbroker for 6 years, but like in that 6 years you were up at, as you say, 6, and there were long working days, but you kind of let loose at the weekends then, like, wasn't it? You had your time to relax. And
in the office at 6, I was up at 5. And you've got a lot of stamina in your 20s, but working from getting up at 5 and then sometimes working 8 or 9 at night, there's a thing called BOBS, and it's burnt out broker syndrome. So I never let that stress out my system. I was so focused on what I was doing, I should have took time for breaks. I should have been out, doing some jogging, doing some swimming, doing some yoga, whatever it was, but I wasn't. I was just so focused on my goal. But in the end, that destabilized me mentally. And I got, I was looking to the drugs to fix that, which was a bad situation.
Yeah, it almost kind of brought your anxiety back, like this job, like it was kind of making you nervous.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And I believe then, like, it was at the weekends you started having parties then, like, wasn't it? To kind of just...
I went from attending parties to throwing house parties, seeing the business potential of ecstasy, investing in bigger loads of ecstasy, and then throwing at the peak of it, throwing raves for up to 10,000 people at a time.
Jesus.
And did this just start out with kind of just throwing parties for your friends and kind of giving your friends ecstasy and things like this and just selling it to your friends and stuff?
I was just showing off, you know.
Yeah.
I was just giving away pills for free to get friends, and when you give drugs away for free, you get a lot of friends.
Yeah.
The women are coming up to you, hugging you all night long, you know, thanking you for the pills, and it just goes to your head when you're in your 20s. And you know, my ego must have got about as big as the Grand Canyon by the peak of it. I'm running around with, I've got like an armed security team, all these bouncers. I've got about 200 people working for me.
Jesus.
I'm getting, you know, up to 40,000 hits of ecstasy at a time sent over from Holland.
And at this stage, were you made your, you know, you said you were worth 2 million at one stage on the stocks and the shares. Were you worth this money at the time?
Yeah, I put the money into technology shares, and during the dot-com bubble, they shot up to be worth about 2 million. I'd wake up some days in my $1 million house on the mountain, check the stock market, and I'd be up like 6 figures on the day.
Jesus.
So I didn't need to be getting involved in the drugs because of the attention I was getting and the excitement. That was more addictive
than the money.
Drugs themselves.
Yeah.
And the money. If I'd have stayed in the stock market, I'd be worth about 10 million right now, but I'm having to rebuild my life from scratch.
That's insane. Like, and as you said, like, you were worth that money, and you said, I want more, and you started dealing the ecstasy. What made you decide, I'm going to import it from Holland? Like, why did you go abroad? Was it not good over in America? Or?
All right, I started out getting it from local dealers, and you got to understand, ecstasy was quite scarce in Arizona, so they could get me like 50 to 100 at a time. Well, that's no good. So I found out who they were getting them from out of LA, drove out to LA with some of my guys, and went to this guy's house. He was like a surfer gangster guy. And, you know, I'm thinking, am I going to get robbed? Are the police going to come? I'm out of state. I've got thousands of dollars. And I'm going to get busted leaving this guy's house with the pills. All this stuff's going through my mind. And then he pulls out this huge bag. I've never seen it as many pills in my life. And I think they were like Mitsubishis. So I said to him, is it all right if I try one? He goes, yeah, I'll get you some water. I said, no, don't get me any water. I'm going to chew it. He's like, you're going to chew it? I'm like, yeah, I like the taste of it. Because I've done so much ecstasy, I knew exactly what ecstasy is supposed to taste like. So I think if he's going to rip it up,
you're going to
know. I'll be able to taste the difference.
Yeah.
So I tasted it, and it was good. And then on the way back, you know, I'm just listening to Sasha in the car. I'm all high and smiling. And I'm not worried about getting arrested anymore. We're driving through the Mojave Desert, and it's really beautiful out there. And then I just threw this like apartment party on the weekend, and I think it was like 500 or 1,000 pills. They just went like that on the weekend.
Go away.
Yeah. So LA could only get me like up to 5,000 pills at a time. My main guy, DJ Mike Hot Wheels, he got arrested.
Even his name.
Yeah.
Two of my other guys, one of them, he was started to get pills that were a bit diluted with other ingredients, and the other guy was putting the prices up on me. So I figured, all right, I'm just going to send some of my friends out to Holland to get some samples, because that's where they're getting them from. Why can't we just do that? So there was a website called Dance Safe, and you could buy ecstasy testing kits. Jeez. And when you test the pill, it turns like a blue-purple color. So you know a pill should be like 125 milligrams of MDMA and just clay to hold the pill together.
Okay.
So they went out there with the kits, positive results, come back with the samples, and we started getting them then for $3 or less.
Jesus. That's what I was going to ask, actually, how much is a pill? And like, so what would have been like your biggest shipment or your biggest smuggle or your biggest load of pills coming into the country at one stage? Or
30 to 40,000. And how we did it was put them in. This was before 9/11. You could just put thousands of pills in pillowcases and put them in your luggage. Or if you want to be more secure, you just screw them into computer towers and put computer towers on a plane. Nobody checked anything.
Because no questions asked.
We had them go from Holland on the train to Germany and France, fly to Mexico City to Hermosillo, and then I'd have operations in Mexico, and I'd have other smugglers bring them over the Arizona border.
Jesus, mad.
And like you were buying them, did you say there it was for £3 a pill? Was it
$3.
$3 a pill?
$3 or less.
Or less.
And they were going for $25 to $30 back then in Phoenix.
There's some uprise on that.
Jesus.
Like you must have felt like an absolute king, like when you were selling them and you're making the profit you were making. Like you must have thought, geez, I'm invincible here. Like,
just thought I was above the law. Thought I was living like a character out of a movie, like Blow. And we would just joke, you know. We would be saying like, we're above the law, we're never going to get caught, we're living like in a movie and everything. But the police have got all the time and resources in the world.
Yeah.
And they just slowly build up evidence against you, and it's an irreversible process once they're locked on. And then May 16, 2002, bam, you know, SWAT team smashed my door down.
Fuck.
Jesus.
Yeah, and just like when you were like this big drug lord and stuff, did you have rivals? Did you have competition in the area?
Yeah, my competition was Sammy the Bull Gravano, underboss of the Gambino crime family. He'd murdered up to 24 people, and he just got released. He just got released from prison actually.
Oh, go away.
This month in America. So his son told me he'd been dispatched to kidnap me from a nightclub and take me out to the desert. And the only reason they'd missed us is because Wildman, my mate, had got in a scuffle and we'd had to leave that place in a hurry. So the drugs was telling me, you're Mr. Cool Guy. You know, you're living on this $1 million house on a mountain and all this stuff. And actually, it scrambled my decision-making processes. And once I look back at these situations I put myself in, I was like, how on earth are you still alive?
Yeah, it's such an insane story. Like, but you did have protection from the Mexican Mafia at one stage, like, didn't you? You met G-Dog at a party, and was it your apartment you met him for the first time? Can you tell us that?
Right. My distribution was such that I had various apartments all over Arizona.
Yeah.
And we were at an apartment party, and it was just like, you know, club people and uni students and stuff like that, smoking a bit of weed. And I was there bringing some pills, and then this Mexican-American guy, rugged guy with prison tats on his arm, shows up, and he's providing some weed and some coke. So, you know, we're the two dealers, so we hit it off, we start talking. Policeman walks in, he says, I can smell marijuana from outside, nobody move. And he's about to grab his radio, call it in, have us all arrested. So G-Dog just pulls out his gun, points it at the cop,
Jesus Christ,
and then says, the only one that's not leaving is you, motherfucker. Everyone else, go! So we all ran out into the night.
Jesus.
You know, I'm shitting it. I've never seen anything this heavy before. And I hide at another apartment that we've got in that complex. The next thing, G-Dog's banging on the French window, let me in. Police are chasing him, helicopters, dogs, sirens. And we're like, we've got drugs in there, so we're thinking, oh no, you know.
Yeah.
And he schooled us. He said, if they haven't got a warrant, they can't come in. If they knock on the door, don't answer it, and they'll just go away. And that's what happened. And at the end of the night, you know, I've been crapping it, but once they'd left, I was relieved. At the end of the night, I said to him, you're quite hot in this area right now, because there was like police still like prowling a little bit. I said, why don't I take you to one of my properties in Phoenix, because we were in Tempe, and you can cool off there. And he did. And then after that, he said, Shaun, because you had my back that night, me and my brothers have got your back. And I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
So it was like a month or so later, he says, come and meet my brother. And I go and meet one of the brothers. I get to this street, all these low-rider cars, like show cars. And then he knocks on the door, and his brother answers, this short guy, bald, just looking at me, like squinting at me. And here's my accent. He's like, God damn, homie. That's the accent. You must be English, homie. And he's like, come in and meet my homies. And I go in there, and there's these massive, tattooed Mexican-American gangsters. None of them smiling. They're just looking at me like,
just staring.
Like this. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? And so I'm shitting it still, even though I'm with G-Dog. Because the atmosphere is tense, you know, with these guys. They're so serious. And I look over at the TV. He's got a small TV showing all the comings and goings on his road, but he's also got, like, on the biggest TV I've ever seen, on the top of it, there's this, what I thought was an ornament, and then I do a double take. I'm like, holy shit, it can't be. You know, I've seen the Rambo movies, and it was like straight out of a Rambo movie. It was a rocket propelled grenade launcher.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Like,
holy shit.
Yeah. Like at the height of this, were you ever just like, what have I got myself into? Like I'm just a kid from Widnes in Liverpool, like, and now I'm in Arizona in this drug kind of cartel, like, you know.
Sammy the Bull's people knocked the teeth out of my top salesperson, and that's when I thought it was getting heavy. They got him in a toilet in a nightclub, and they just beat the living daylights out of him and took all his pills and all of his money.
And was that just to get directly at you then? Just to get at you?
Yeah, you know, just to rob him and to just get at me. And I thought, all right, this is a bit heavy now. So that's what motivated me to move from Phoenix to over 100 miles, I think it is, to like Tucson.
Okay.
And I got into this $1 million house on the mountain in a gated, guarded, secured community. To even get up my street, you had to go to a guard and you had to call the house and stuff like that. So I felt much safer. In that location. Yeah.
Jeez. And while all this is going on, like, what was your actual personal life like? I think did you have multiple marriages? Am I correct in saying so?
Yeah, at this point, I'm married to a woman who's done a university degree, but she's also doing lesbian internet porn.
Jesus.
Like, how did that even happen? Like, how did you? Like, what happened there? Like, how did that marriage come about?
I got together, like having a cuddle with this. There was a lot of striptease dancers came to the raves, and you know they come and spend their money at the raves, buy drugs off us and stuff like that, and you know just relax and get away from their working environment. So there was one called Pepper, and she was like Asian American. And, you know, we'd always have a little kiss and a cuddle. And then just one night she goes, I'm going to bring a woman next week to the rave and you're going to fall in love with her. And I'm like, what? and that's what happened. She did it. Yeah, she did it. She brought Amy along and that was it then. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty mad. Like, and how long did that marriage last, if you don't mind asking?
Oh, it lasted... This was at the peak of my wealth and insanity, and it lasted a few years. And you know, her thing was she was bisexual, so she liked to have other women perform oral sex on both of us.
Okay.
To get us turned on.
Yeah.
And then we'd have full sex together. So the women she brought home, I wasn't allowed to have full sex with them.
Okay.
I was allowed to get oral sex off that person. She'd get oral sex, and then we'd have full sex together, me and my wife.
Yeah. Not too bad, I suppose.
Yeah. I know. You see how I had to suffer.
And am I correct in saying? Sorry, if you don't mind me rewinding back. Did you have 2 previous wives before this wife?
Yeah, I had an Asian wife.
Yeah.
Who we got married after 6 months, and a mental illness came out. I'd come home from work. She jumped in the shower, like a scene out of that movie Psycho. Tried to cut my man parts off, and she attacked me and bit me and all kinds. So in the end, that one didn't last. And then the next one, she was a former Calvin Klein model who got in a car crash, got addicted to crystal meth, was packing a handgun when I met her, and I thought that was cool. You know, I went over to her apartment. She had a waterbed. She couldn't move it. She just pulled out the handgun and shot the waterbed.
Jesus, like that's absolutely insane.
There's a lot of guns in Arizona. It gets up to almost 50 degrees in the summer in Arizona, and people get road rage and they just start shooting each other. It's all over the news.
Jesus,
that's absolutely insane. Yeah, and like with you were involved in all this drugs, and like you were saying earlier, like the police actually. Like they can just watch you. They don't have to have foolproof evidence to arrest you. They can just track you for a few years in Arizona, couldn't they, at the time, and just pounce when they wanted.
I'd quit dealing a year before the SWAT team came, and I thought I got away with it.
It was over,
I had no idea that the police didn't have to catch you with the drugs. All it takes is someone from your past to tell the police you've sold drugs to them, and that's it. They've got a witness.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So in my case, 10 witnesses came forward, and that was enough. That was all they needed.
That was enough, yeah.
Yeah.
And what actually went down then on the morning where the SWAT team came to your house?
What happened that morning?
Yeah.
I quit, right? So I'm living with this woman who taught me how to dealing and fallen in love again. And I'm at sixth form. I'm at a college. Sorry, not sixth form. I'm at a college doing a community college doing Spanish, and I'm back to trading the stock market online. So I was just up bright and early on the computer, and then just bam, 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 bam. 10p police. We got a warrant. I'm thinking it could be the police. That might be just someone pretending the police trying to rob me.
Yeah.
So I jump up, look through the peephole, blacked out, and then I go to the window, and then I just see them all, marksmen with the guns and rifles and stomping up the stairs and SWAT team cars, and the whole complex was surrounded. So I go to my girlfriend. I said, "We're like, what we're gonna do?" Like, all right, we better let them in. We got halfway through the living room, and then just boom, door just flies off the hinges. Then it's like, hands above your heads, don't move, get on the fucking ground now.
Jesus.
Yeah, so you basically, you see those guns open up on you and you're thinking, your life's over in
That's it,
seconds.
Yeah.
So you hit the deck like that, and then they just crush you and handcuff you, and then the detective said, "You're a big name from the rave scene. We know this raid's going to justify the charges." They thought I'd gone on to bigger and better things. They thought that apartment was going to be full of drugs, but it wasn't. But anyway, I was still guilty of doing stuff, so I had to pay the price.
And what's going through your mind then at this time? Are you thinking, look, this is might lead to prison, or what's actually going through your mind in those moments?
What's going through my mind is the shower scene in Shawshank Redemption, where Boggs Diamond says, "I could be a friend to you."
Very good.
It's like,
and I'm thinking, man, I'm a skinny, nerdy business graduate from the UK. I'm going to get into one of these dangerous prison situations. How am I going to survive?
Yeah.
And what was the process from being arrested? Were you in, did you have a trial, or was it just straight away guilty, prison, or what actually went down?
So, nobody has a trial in Arizona, and this is the same across America now. If you have a trial and you lose, they give you the super aggravated maximum sentence because it costs the state money to take you to trial. The justice system is a business model. They just want you to sign guilt. That's not snitching, that's not cooperating. They just want you to sign guilt. Okay. It's called a plea bargain.
Yeah.
And then you go over to the prison system without a trial. Jeez. So 98% of the cases in Arizona, the people sign plea bargains because they know if they go to trial, they're not going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Court is theatre.
Yeah.
Whoever has the most money puts on the best show, and the state always has the most money. Jeez. So even people who are innocent sign plea bargains just to get out.
Yeah. Are you given a kind of a more lenient sentence then with a plea bargain is what they say, or whatever?
They use car salespeople, these prosecutors. They come at you, in my case, with 200 years. And in the end, I signed for 9.5 years.
Okay.
That's still a very long time, isn't it, to be signing off? You must have been very scared at that time,
As a first-time non-violent drug offender, I only had to serve just under 6. And it did end up the perfect amount of time for me to grow up as a person, get my priorities straight, get some emotional maturity. And I managed to read over 1,000 books in just under 6 years, and it completely transformed my worldview.
Yeah.
And am I right in saying you spent your first 2 years, is it in Maricopa prison? Was that where you...
I spent 26 months fighting my case. I was the last man standing, and that was the jail with the highest rate of death in America.
And do you want to go
was that down to what kind of deaths? Was it suicides, or were prisoners beating up other prisoners and killing them, or what kind of deaths were involved there?
National Geographic Channel researched this for my Bang Up Abroad episode, and they said 62 people died over 5 years around the time I was there. That was gang members murdering prisoners, guards murdering prisoners, mostly mentally ill prisoners, suicides. Some people would jump off a balcony. They wouldn't even die, they'd just break their legs, break their spines.
Jesus.
And medical neglect, because like to get any medical treatment was really hard. Medical department assumed most prisoners are fakers. They're just trying to get out the cell to have some respite from the conditions.
Yeah.
So, there was a diabetic woman, Deborah Brayhard. Her daughter was even calling the jail saying, Mum needs a medication. And they were like, tough, this is jail. She was having seizures and stuff, and they were just walking around, and the guards, like, they wouldn't even do anything for her. They just let her die.
Fuck.
Dude, that's
and
insane.
you mentioned there that there was guards killing prisoners, and like,
Yeah.
what's the motivation behind guards killing prisoners? Like, can you touch on that for a small bit?
Okay. Prison is an extremely negative and dangerous environment. I'm not saying all guards are bad.
Yeah.
But what happens is, even the guards who come in and try and help you, after 6 months of working in this dangerous environment, their faces are turned to stone. And they're quick to react against people in a forceful way. So imagine, right, the prison system in America is the biggest houser of the mentally ill. Mentally ill people tend to react abnormally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you some examples. Scott Norberg, mentally ill man wandering a neighborhood. That was his crime. They brought him in, and he started acting up. And the guards started to beat him up and electrocuting him with taser guns.
Jesus.
And a female guard said, stop it, his face has turned blue.
Jesus.
Yeah, now, the prisoners started watching, and they were yelling from the holding cells. After the female guard had won, they started yelling, why are you still beating him? He's already dead. And even after that, they continued to beat the corpse, turn blue, and everything.
Jesus.
I've got videos of the guards murdering prisoners on my YouTube channel. Because people sometimes say, Shaun, we don't believe this can even happen. I'll say, go and watch these videos on my channel. Here's what happens, right? A mentally ill person doesn't do what he's told because they're mentally ill. And they're just, and they're not getting the best health care. And then a guard comes up and he's like, starts handcuffing him or something. And a mentally ill person just starts resisting a little bit, something like that. Next thing, all the guards jump on, and something was clicking their brains because they on these videos they look like a pack of wolves. They're just like on these guys, like bam, bam, and they're electrocuting them, bam, bam, kicking them, beating them, and even after they're dead, they don't stop. So to me, that tells me their brains have gone into this animalistic mode, whereby they've gone from their everyday rational thinking, into just this violent, this mode of violence, and they can't stop it.
Jeez.
Yeah, I find it crazy because, like, do you know the way there's a group of them do it? Like, how can not one of them even think like, Jesus, there's something not right about this? Like, there's very much kind of a group think kind of attitude to it, like, and they all follow each other. Like, it's crazy.
Like a pack of wolves, savaging a corpse. That's what it reminded me of. Yeah. Jesus, another one was there was a blind guy, Brian Crenshaw, failed to produce his ID, so the guards started to beat him up. They broke his neck, severe internal injuries. He went into a coma. He died over a month later.
And
now, both of those cases were caught on camera. Family members of the victims sued the jail and got compensation. A question for you guys: what do you think the boss of the jail did to the guards who were found responsible for murdering those prisoners?
Promoted them.
Yeah, promotions and pay rises.
Jeez, that's actually what I was going to ask next.
Early on, you said, what was the incentive for murdering these prisoners? Well, there should be a disincentive, shouldn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you get promoted and you get a pay rise,
there you go.
That's a reward for murder.
Jeez, that's insane. Like,
madness.
And that sounds so intimidating to be in that surrounding, like not knowing if you're going to wake up the next morning, not knowing what's around the corner. And you spoke on the gangs there earlier. Like, when you were heading into jail, did you think, there's a gang here now I'm just going to stick with, stay close by? Or were you like, I'm just going to do my own thing? Or
all right, I was naive to the structure of prison gangs. So in the holding cells, it was all a bit random. That was all the new arrestees. I was in there for like 2 or 3 days. And it was subterranean. You didn't know what time of the day it was. People were coming in, they were high, they were drunk, they've been electrocuted by the police, they've been shot by the police. People were fighting, rival street gangs were fighting. 30 of us crammed in a cell. Guards would grab someone, they'd stick them in a restraint chair, like a medieval torture device, and put a spinner hood over their head.
Jeez.
You see these people just rocking in these restraint chairs. So that was my introduction to it. Then once I got assigned to medium security, that's where the gangs are then. That's where it's structured properly.
Yeah.
So, you know, skinheads from the neo-Nazi Aryan Brotherhood come up to me and they're like, hey, we want a word with you, get in that cell over there. And you know you can't say no to these guys. They just smash your head into the wall. So I went into the cell and, you know, they follow me and they close the door, can't get out. I turn around, biggest one's in my face. It's like, what are your charges? What are your charges? And my charge is on a little printout. I've read it, but I don't understand what it means because it's all in legal terminology. Okay. So I say, I don't know what my charges mean. They then think I've got something to hide.
Yeah.
So I'm making the situation worse. So then they got me up against the wall. They're like, what do you mean you don't know what your charges mean? Are you a chomo? Are you a chomo? I don't know what a chomo is either. So chomo's child molester. Okay. I pull out my charge sheet. They see him in for drugs. Nearly everyone's in for drugs. That was fine. And then they saw I had a bail of $750,000 cash only. And that they loved that. They were like, God damn, dog, who did you kill? You guys the mafia or what?
Jesus.
And I was like, no, I was just throwing raves, distributing ecstasy and this kind of thing. And they quickly found out we were one of the biggest groups in the jail because over 100 people arrested with me. Okay. So if I had gone in on my own, without my bouncers and stuff like that, it would have been harder on me. But because we were one of the biggest groups in the jail, and I had some big guys in there with me, it enabled me to like build some alliances with people, which helped me over time. So you know, the most watched videos on my YouTube channel, my prison survival advice videos. And one of the things I say is, if you're going in there, lay low, don't be bragging about anything. Yeah. Find out who's who, and then make alliances with the right people.
Yeah.
Jesus, were you going to say something there?
So I was just going to say, your charge sheet really gave you big credibility with all those gang members, and your numbers were high enough that they saw you as, I suppose, a credible kind of a criminal, really, I suppose. Like,
yeah, I was acceptable, exactly. Yeah. And some charges are KOS, kill on sight, paedophile stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Some charges are SOS, smash on sight, drive-by shootings, because women and kids sometimes get hit.
Yeah.
So anyone coming in with a sex offence, right away, gang is going to try and murder them, or at the very least, they're going to smash them. And that's called convict justice. So once you get through that interrogation, your charge check, you got to go and meet the head of the gang. Tells you all the rules you got to follow, else whole gang will smash you. If someone calls you punk, bitch, or hits you, got to fight them on the spot, else whole gang will smash you. Must take showers, smash you for bad hygiene. Can't go making friends with the guards, smash you for snitching. Can't go sitting at tables with other races. They're constantly looking for people to beat up. Yeah. Because that's how they earn their reputations and their tattoos. It's called putting work in to earn your political ink. And the more serious the violence, higher up in the gang are the tats. Jeez. So under every head of the gang, a guy's called torpedoes. And they'll go in and smash someone, no questions asked, just so they can earn their reputations and their tats. It's all structured around violence.
Yeah.
Jeez. And had you any crazy cellmate experiences?
Well, I was in Supermax when I shouldn't have been for about 3 months because the prosecutor accidentally put my sentence down as 34 years instead of 9.5 on the paperwork to the prison system. So my neighbour there was a serial killer and my cellmate was a Satanist. He's got an inverted pentagram on his forehead. Shit. And for murder, part of a cult that's drinking blood and eating human body parts.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God.
And he was actually very nice to me. It was my next cellmate in medium. It was a serial home invader torturer breaking into houses of drug dealers, taking hammers to their kneecaps.
Oh my God.
That was his favourite method of torture. Didn't like me from the get-go. He wanted an old con, and he saw me as a fresh fish, as a cellmate. And he said to me, his welcome statement was, "I've got a padlock and a sock. I can smash your brains in while you sleep. I could kill you whenever I want."
Holy
so shit. He knew my family were flying 5,000 miles to visit me for Christmas. So he got this huge biker gang member to smash me to spoil the visit. Oh, prison is it's like high school mentality with deadly consequences.
Fuck.
So this guy, he cornered me in his crowded corridor, starts smashing into me. And, you've got to hit back or else you're a punk. Basically, if you're a punk, if you don't hit back, you're going to be sucking dick and cleaning toilets for the rest of your stay.
Yeah.
So I had no choice but to hit back.
Something.
Yeah, but if you do hit back, they send you to lockdown, a prison within a prison. You lose all your visits and your privileges, and they add more time onto your sentence.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So it's like, you just don't know what
Which
to do.
you do,
Like,
yeah.
Well, rather than be
Sucking dick and
performing
stuff.
sexual sex,
do you want to suck dick or do you want to go to maximum security? Like, what is it?
I started to hit back, and it was like hitting a big bag of cement. This guy was so big,
Oh, fuck.
and he was trained in kickboxing, so it didn't end up very well for me. I did manage to get moved out of that cell, and my new cellmate introduced me to a new guy an old school mafia guy called Two Tonys, and he became my protector. Have you watched this movie that's come out called Shot Caller?
No, I haven't. No.
It's about a stockbroker. He's out celebrating with his wife and his best mate and her wife, and they have a bit too much wine. He drives through a red light, and he crashes, and his best mate on the back dies, and he ends up in prison for this. Now, as soon as he goes in with the new prisoners, the fresh fish, and there's this black guy, he looks really scared, and the gang prey on weakness. So he's in a dorm. They're all assigned to this dorm. He looks over in the night, and like about 8 black dudes just jump on this skinny black guy and just gang rape him.
Oh,
so the stockbroker guy, he's like, oh wow, that's not going to happen to me. Next day on the yard, a dude bumps into him, and he just starts wailing on the guy. The Aryan Brotherhood are watching. They thought he was a lame, and they see him just wailing on this guy, and he gets sent to lockdown. And when he gets back out of lockdown, the Aryan Brotherhood recruit him, and he just gets deeper and deeper into the gang until he ends up running it, and he's just never going to get out, basically. And it just shows how those decisions, it could change your entire life, what happens in prison when it comes to fighting.
Yeah.
Because he ends up in a riot, he ends up stabbing someone, ends up killing someone. He just goes, every time he just gets deeper and deeper into the gang. But I highly recommend, if you're interested in the prisons, that movie really captured the Aryan Brotherhood gang and how they operate and behave and everything. Yeah, Shot Caller. Yeah.
Like, even as you said it there, if anyone's interested in prisons, I suppose like a lot of people that might be watching will want to know, like in Ireland here, we've only ever seen it in the movies, what American prison life is like. We wouldn't actually, knows the real experience, but like, could you tell us what that prison life is like? Like, what's your day to day like? What's the sex life in there, or
Straight to the point.
Right.
A lot of people will want to know, like, what actually goes down, like.
All right, so 90% of the prisoners, the priority is getting the drugs in and getting high, which is really sad. These people were traumatized as kids, a lot of them. They're treated as animals in the prison, and then to get the stress level down, they just stay on the drugs. 2/3 had hepatitis C from sharing dirty needles. Jeez. Now, the activity depends on your security level about what kind of activity you can do. Like it's Supermax, you never get out your cell. But like you work your way down to minimum, and in medium, you get more and more recreation. So the fellas are out, like if there's a day room, they're playing cards, they're gambling, dominoes. I got heavy into chess in there. I played chess as a kid, and these guys whooped my ass.
Fuck.
I had to send out for chess books. I had my parents sending me chess books so I could compete with these guys. There's a lot of talent in prison. It's such a shame. It's such a waste of human resources. So everybody's working out as well. Majority are working out. Everyone's looking at everyone else. I might have to fight that guy tomorrow. I've got to get bigger than him. They're getting steroids smuggled in. The weightlifting equipment in Arizona, there was a huge riot over a football game bet in the late 1990s, and they got the weightlifting equipment and they started just crushing people's skulls with it. Inmates' skulls got crushed, guards got murdered. They had to bring the army in to put it down, and they left them all on the rec field for days, handcuffed, just pissing and crapping where they laid. But they took the weights out after that, so now it's all like pull-up bars, dip bars,
just kind of body weight stuff.
Prisoners just improvise. You can do push-ups.
Yeah.
Under the stairs, wrap some socks around the metal grid stairs, do some pull-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So highly disciplined workout regimens are going in there. There's some serious bodybuilding in there as well, and they're getting steroids smuggled in and stuff like that. In terms of sex lives, oh my goodness, it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
What was going on in there? My transgender friend, Zena, I was told that after 5 years, I'd start getting blowjobs from transgender prisoners. I'm gonna refer to Zena as she because it's disrespectful to call the trans prisoners he.
Yeah.
So Zena said to me that she did confirm that the majority of the prisoners on the yard I was at with her were recipients of oral sex. It's not even considered to be gay. But there's a whole range of other stuff going on. I was told, I'd get involved. I had a beautiful woman visiting me, and I managed to stay strong. but there's, I'll give you some examples. There's a thing called a fifi bag, which is a hot, wet, like washcloth or sock with lotion and soap that people use because they get tired of wanking with one hand and then they switch to the other hand and then they go onto the fifi bag basically.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh,
when you go from your right to your left, it is like a whole new experience.
We can't talk that first. We don't know.
The problem with the fifi bag is if you come, then you gotta like clean the mess up. So I tried it a few times, but I couldn't deal with the mess.
Yeah.
If you're in the shower and you're just shooting a load off into the shower, hopefully it's gonna wash down the drain. Except for those times when sometimes I went in showers literally. It was so clogged up with pubic hair and stuff.
Fuck.
Oh my god.
There was like a little puddle with all this cum just floating on it around my feet.
Fuck yeah.
I'd have to put my shower sandals on and my socks on just to avoid getting all this cum all over my feet. Yeah.
Oh, nasty.
Yeah.
And
then there's male prostitution. There's if you've been turned out, if you're a punk, then you just get rented out to clean toilets and suck dick to other people by the gang. It's really sad, It is. There's so much rape in prison. We have to go to what's called a rape class now to get taught how not to get raped, and that was just a waste of time. Basically, they said if they showed us a video of predators in the day room and they gave out sweets, and the prisoners who took the sweets, they were in debt. They'd have to repay with sexual favors, and then they were punked out. They were prison punks, and then there was no end to it. And the summary of the video was, you have to report rape to stop it. If you report anything in prison, you're a snitch.
Yeah.
And the gang rule is KOS, kill on sight for snitches.
Jeez.
So snitches, sex offenders, are like the lowest of the low in the spectrum of prison. Other things, Zena had a beaded G-string that she'd made. She'd melted like plastic stuff and made sex toys. And she also woke up one morning, drank a cup of coffee, and started to cut her man parts off.
Oh my god.
A lot of the trans prisoners, they cut the man parts off to stop the testosterone, they get estrogen smuggled in.
Yeah.
So Zena, she got a felt tip pen, drew a line on her scrotum where she was going to cut, drank a cup of coffee, got the razor blade,
Oh my god.
cut down the line. The balls are hanging off two branches called the vas deferens.
Oh.
Yeah.
So she slashed one of the balls off. Then the other ball hid inside her.
Oh.
It went on the run.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It saw what happened to the other ball. So she's got her hand up in her
Oh
gut.
my god. Oh.
Looking for it. She could feel her intestines and everything. And where she got it tied off to stop the blood come undone, and blood started squirting across the room, and she was bleeding to death.
Fuck.
She'd covered the window because she didn't want anyone to see her doing this, but someone peeped in, and they alerted the guards, and they contacted a helicopter. Helicopter came to save her life. Yeah.
Fucking
Jeez,
hell.
and she survived it, obviously. Did she was...
She survived it. She was on suicide watch, and then she waited until she wasn't being monitored, and she cut the other one off.
Oh,
my
fuck.
God.
Jesus.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that's like, that's an awful experience to go through. Like, you
Yeah.
know, jeez.
In my book Prison Time, she describes it in graphic detail, and she talks about after she cut the first nut off and the blood's coming out, and all of a sudden the pain
I'd say
was
it's
so
just-
much,
Yeah.
it almost made her blind.
Oh.
It was just this red hot blinding pain, but she was thinking, I've got to get the other nut off. So she was like just trying to like deal with this pain while she had a hand in her guts looking for the other nut.
Fucking
Jesus
hell.
Christ, yeah.
Jesus.
That's insane. Like, I suppose.
I
Like,
don't know where to lead on from there. Like,
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about, like, what are the eating conditions like and the sleeping conditions and stuff. It's a small bit of a lighter note after that.
Yeah, prison chow. It's like in the jail. It was moldy bread and green bologna, and then that's like a mystery meat. There's like a green shine to the sausage meat, mold on the bread, and in the evening, red death, which was a mystery meat slop, which occasionally had dead rats in it.
Oh, my
fucking hell.
God.
The sheriff said it cost him 50 cents or less per day to feed each prisoner this rotten food.
Jesus
It's like,
Yeah.
how do people even eat in there? You must have lost a shit ton of weight, like, did you, in prison?
Yeah, in the remand jail, my 26 months, at my sentencing hearing, my parents said I looked like a concentration camp survivor. I
Jesus.
think I lost a lot. I mean, I'm not a big guy, and I lost about 2 stone. So all my face was just like just hollow. And
Yeah.
stuff.
See the bones.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
it made people get sick off this food and rotten food and stuff, surely, like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
food poisoning all the time.
Oh,
you know, I played the system. I converted to the Hindu religion to get a vegetarian diet, so I didn't get the food poisoning that much.
Yeah.
But guys would be coming to my cell demanding the Financial Times just so they could wipe their asses because you only get so much toilet paper.
Fucking
Jesus
hell.
Christ.
It
That's,
seems like it's a massive place of improvisation.
yeah.
It seems like that's the key to prison, like.
Yeah, definitely. And that, that's how I saw how much talent there is in prison because of the improvisation and the ingenuity in there especially during crises.
Yeah. And like you spent, was it 6 years you served, and then you left prison? Like, after going through and seeing what you saw in prison, like, how did you adapt to life again? Like, how did...
Well, Mum said I was like a puppy dog following around the house waiting for orders, a bit institutionalised.
Yeah, like, how does one even...
But I moved down south, and that enabled me to get a publisher for my first book, Hard Time, which is about my time in the remand jail. And it also enabled me to connect with the schools as well and just start doing public speaking in the schools. And, presently I do over 100 talks a year. I've done like 20 in the last 2.5 weeks.
Fuck.
And that keeps me really busy, but I get all this good reaction from the young people. And it was young people who'd seen my talks in the schools actually that started contacting True Geordie, asking him to get me on the show, which led to you guys. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We love
it
that
has
podcast.
all these knock-on karmic effects. And I don't go in there and preach at them. I just say, here's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Scare the living daylights out of them with some of the stories you've heard
Yeah.
about the gangs and Xena and stuff like that, and in the hope it'll make them think twice about getting involved in drugs and crime.
I'd imagine it works, yeah.
Yeah.
And how many books have you written now at this stage?
Right, I've got 8 books out now. So my
Jesus.
life story's a trilogy. Hard Time is my bestseller. Here's that one. How I survived the
Nice
jail.
plug.
And there's Party Time is all the naughty stuff I did that led to the SWAT team. And Prison Time is the time after the remand jail, and also about me getting my time when I get deported back to the UK. So after 10 years of writing about myself, I thought there's more important things out there than me. I started writing about the war on drugs, Pablo Escobar, the Colombian cocaine mafia, the Cali cartel. I've got a book out about them. I've got a book out, American Made, about the CIA cocaine smuggling pilot. And they're all doing really well. They've all been bestsellers on Amazon. So that's really transformed my book sales.
Yeah,
Jeez, yeah, fair play. It's,
And you've totally, you personally, you don't drink or you don't smoke anymore, as far as I know. You totally,
You know what? I hammered that lifestyle. I hammered the lifestyle for so long.
yeah,
I must have, I don't know how I'm still alive. So now I've gone to the other extreme, just trying to do fitness, karate, yoga, swimming. Going to go to a spa in Reading actually in just over an get some therapy there, get a nice hot stones massage,
Just
Sounds
relax.
nice.
and do some swimming.
Yeah.
So I'm a yoga practicing vegetarian now, and I just don't even drink. I don't even drink or anything. I mentioned earlier one of the reasons I did drugs was I almost got beat to death as a teenager. I had this anxiety, but going through this experience, living with some people, who were extremely dangerous. Once I got out of prison, the world seemed a safe place to me.
Yeah.
So it helped crush that anxiety out of me. So I feel confident enough now to go out in my own skin. I went to Ibiza. I was at Amnesia dancing to Paul Van Dyke till 5 a.m.
Nice.
New Year's Eve, I was at Ministry, and people are coming up offering me drugs and stuff, and I'm like, I'm cool. And in the end, I told someone my story like that, and the jaws are dropping.
Yeah.
But I think if you're happy enough in your own skin, you don't need to alter your mind like that.
Love it.
Yeah.
And how does it feel like? Does that feel like it was almost like another life, like, or does that feel like it's way in the past to you now, like, Is it almost like living 2 different lives?
It's like a dream, honestly.
Yeah.
I look back at it. I see these prison movies and it brings back some memories and stuff, like Shot Caller, and I think, Jesus Christ, I was in there.
Yeah.
I was in there with these guys, and I just
It's nuts.
It's
nuts. Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
It's hard to comprehend because when you're in there, you just have to adapt. There's no time to think about what, But once you get out and you can look back on it, it's just mental.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah. And what's the future hold for yourself now? Are you more books in line? Are you?
Yeah, I've got 8 books out now. I made overtures to Pablo Escobar's son to publish his second book because I've got my own publishing company now.
Yeah.
Doing true crime. Just gonna keep. I've got one book out about Pablo, but I'm trying to write the most comprehensive book about Pablo ever written. I'm going to publish that one next year. And then I've got my book, We Are Being Lied To, The War on Drugs, about all the corporations and the racism and everything that's behind drug laws. And how weed, it's been prevented from all these medicinal uses. Kids with hundreds of seizures a day their lives could have been saved. People with cancer could have been saved. All these greedy pharmaceutical companies just trying to stop it because it's going to hurt their profits. But the public are wise to it now, and it's the floodgates open. And I think the whole world's going to decriminalise. And that's not because I want people out getting blazed. It's because all these medicinal uses and all these people whose lives could be saved.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep campaigning. I go on the TV every now and then, do talk about prisoners' rights and human rights. I was on Sky TV yesterday.
We actually saw it.
Yeah. Everything the government does with prison policy is completely wrong. They just piss the taxpayers' money away and make things worse. They need to let out of the prisons all these low-level drug users, which are causing the overcrowding. But they're making so much money off it, the prisons and the corporations. It's really sickening.
Yeah.
So I'm an activist, I'm an author and a public speaker. I'm just going to keep going down that road because in my heart, it tells me I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah.
Exactly.
And where can people find you, Shaun? If you want to shout out, do you have various social media handles or things like that?
I'm on pretty much every social media platform under my name, Shaun Attwood, and it's not the Irish spelling; it's the English spelling. SHAUN.
Yeah, perfect.
ATT Wood.
Yeah.
I answer loads of questions on my YouTube channel, Prison Questions, and I've got the blog. Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. If anyone has got any questions, just send me your questions on my social media platforms, and I do try and get a response back to everybody.
Perfect. And we'll put all the links down in the description box below to all your platforms.
Yeah, and all the books are on Amazon as well. All 8 of my books. Yeah.
Perfect. And before we finish up, we just want to thank you again for taking the time to sit with us and chat with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're a credit yourself.
Thanks for your interest in the story, guys.
Jeez.
Story.
Good luck with what you're doing with this podcast.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much.
Yeah. So,
all right,
perfect, Shaun. We'll chat to you soon.
Thanks
Cheers.
very much.
Thanks.
See you later. Take it easy.